Thanks for putting it on.
Yes,
We don't
thank
know
you.
anything about your product, so that's why we were interested in getting on and just finding out what it's about.
Yeah, that would be great. And would be happy to have a conversation later, maybe set up a Zoom meeting so we could help you get more familiar with our products on a more of a personal and company type level.
And that is one of the things that we do, is that we do a lot of training with individual companies. We can spend a couple minutes doing a quick overview of what Surefire is. But we'd love to, like my colleague said, set up a meeting with you and do some training, even go down to the nitty gritty with the wiring and the configuration, that kind of thing. So let's do that, shall we?
Sure.
Please.
Perfect. All right. So, Brad.
Yeah. So
why don't you take over just a quick overview of what Surefire does?
So basically, at our heart, we're a radio company, and we replace wire for low voltage type situations, whether it be relays or with our access control bridge, our Wiegand bridge, we can go wireless with Wiegand data as well. And so, with being able to transmit for relays, Wiegand data, and then we also have a serial pro bridge that will do low bandwidth RS-232 and 485. And so, very low bandwidth type applications, low voltage applications, sending relays, and we're wire replacement. And so that's really what our specialty is with our wireless radio that we put in our devices.
Appreciate it. Thank you. That was a good overview. And I'm just going to see. Tell me. Well, we'll get your connection. Oh, and sir, what is your name? This is the first application. Is this Gregory?
Yes, I'm Gregory Pentecost. I'm general manager with the Flying Locksmiths branch in Seattle. And
great. I've actually done a lot of training with Flying Locksmiths. I've probably done 50 trainings with them. So great,
awesome.
Great group of people.
Thank you for being here.
Yep.
Yeah. And so, I have two of my technicians with me, Dan Siegel and Thomas Manning. So we're all here learning about it.
Excellent. Appreciate you being with us. And, today we're going to be talking about some of the products that we have and some of the new developments. There's obviously a lot more that we won't be talking about today, but we'll get connected with you and with your Flying Locksmith group. And thank you everyone for being here. So today we're going to be spending a little bit of time talking about our compact door kit, which makes it so that you can, you don't have to pull the power wire to those doors that you want to put Surefire units on. We've had people do 48 doors in 2 days with a single guy. It was interesting when I went out and did this installation. I couldn't believe they were just sending one guy out to this huge HOA with 48 doors, but he got it done. And a lot of it was because they had 42 of these compact door kits, 48 of these compact door kits. And we've got a whole lot more that have been sold recently because they allow you just to tie on to that power that's already right there at the door, because it already has this battery backup. You can tie on to the exit light or the always on light, and it makes it so these doors, this access control for the doors is really simplified. Those of you who have done perimeter stuff mostly, access control for the doors is really simplified with that compact door kit. Now, of course, you always want to check your local regulations, check with your AHJ, but everyone we've talked to has loved this solution. So, and we've got some videos and things, but why don't you tell them a little bit about it?
So one of the things that we get to do as field applications is with qualifying purchases, our company will send us out and consult on certain jobs. And with the pandemic, that's been limited a little bit more, but we've been able to do Zoom calls, have phone consultations. And what we found is you guys that are out in the field come up with some fabulous ideas, and you'll call us up and even consult with us and say, hey, we've got this problem, how do we fix it? And this is where the compact door kit came from, is people were saying, hey, if we're having to pay an electrician to run power, why not just run the low voltage cable from the head end to the door? And being able to source the power supply that we supplied, it doesn't matter what power you have, 110, 220, or 277, you can pull over as long as you have the backup battery. Most AHJs have been okay with it. And so I wanted to share with you a video because our installers will contact installers will contact us and come up with an idea. And we really have tried to work with them to come up with some of these solutions. And so we wanted to show you and give credit to them and show you some of the installations that they've done and why they are using this door kit.
Okay.
So this is one that was done by DGO Access. Oh,
Many installers are discovering our
before you were
compact.
done talking.
It's okay. This is what I was talking about. They did 48 of these doors in 2 days. And this is the first time I wanted to film the very first one he did, because I wanted you guys to get a feel for, okay, if you have no experience, no exposure to this, how fast can I do something?
Yeah.
Now, he's a good installer, already has a lot of experience, but had never done a door kit before.
Okay.
Many installers are discovering our compact door kit as a simple and effective way to get doors done. Here is one example at Commons Park West in Denver. When your current system isn't working reliably and has no ability to expand. This massive 4-story complex with hundreds of apartments turned to DGO Access to fix it.
So I'm Kyle with DGO Access. I've been a technician here for 7 years. We've been working with these Surefire bridges for maybe the last year or so. So they had an older system here that didn't quite have as good or as new of technology as the Surefire, so they were having a hard time sending data to all the doors, as well as their main control system was completely filled up with memory. They were unable to add more residents to the system.
They brought in 52 Surefire compact door kits because of both reliability and speed in installation. DGO only had a single installer available, so he had to be able to quickly install each one and move on, or he would be there for a month. Though he has used many of the Surefire bridges, this is a first with the compact door kit. Here you see a time lapse of Kyle's installation of the door kit. As you see, even when adding some extra steps unusual to this install, such as removing the back plate and drilling an extra hole, he's able to do this first one in less than 15 minutes. The installation of the compact door kit is very simple. You first remove the screws holding the flash cover, then tip the flash cover up, giving access to the power supply and the Wago connectors provided for easy connection of any local or emergency power from 110 to 277 AC. Always check your local guidelines. Then replace the flash cover, wire in your accessories onto the labeled terminal block, plug in a 12-volt battery, and you're finished.
Install was very easy. We had 110 AC coming in through the back of the wall there that we hooked into the transformer that's built into the Surefire box. And then we were able to directly hook up our carburetor and our stripe to the bridge. Made for a very easy and quick install. I think it was just 15 minutes at the door, and then I could not even imagine pulling wire through this building. I don't think that it would be feasible. It would not be realistic whatsoever. Probably not doable. Yeah, we'd need probably 10 guys out here for a month pulling wire. So this certainly saved us a lot of time as well as money. So we are getting nearly full bars, 5 out of 6 bars on that. And we are a good distance away through a ton of walls and still getting great signals.
The Surefire compact door kit, the easy way to get doors done.
Okay. Thank you. Now, I apologize that sometimes you have to listen to our voices and everything, but that at least was somebody else. But so on these door kits, they're very simple. Basically, you loosen these screws, tip them down. All you have to do is drill a hole somewhere along the top here on the back. That's where your power goes in. And you have all of the wiring right here. It's very simple. Like I said, this guy took him 10 minutes or 15 minutes. This one, we have another one where a guy did it in some concrete. Took him about 10 minutes. But the key to this is it takes care of your power too. Not just your control wire, but also the power. So have any of you on this one yet, on this group here, have you installed one of these yet? It's a fairly new product. I just didn't know if anyone in here has installed one. I don't know if Chris has, or I'm looking around to see if there's anybody that I've sent these off to, or Mark maybe.
We have installed one so far.
And who, I'm sorry, who was talking there?
Nick Malmberg with Bettendorf Lock.
Oh, there you go. Okay. Nick, thank you. What was your thought about this? What did you think about the door kit?
It was like the video says, it was really simple. It's really easy. It basically, I got a quote from an IT guy. You know, I don't know how your quote's so cheap because you got to run wire all throughout here. Basically told him, don't worry about it. You know, that's, you know, we'll take care of it, and kind of showed him our technology. And just like what you said, you know, we tapped into the emergency exit sign. So we're on backup generator power on everything. So theoretically, everything should be fine. We shouldn't even touch our battery backup. But this was at a city hall building with the police department and fire department, and our controllers, I don't know, I'd probably say, 350 foot away through solid concrete brick buildings. And like we had 5 out of 6 on our comm, and everything works just fine. And I'm in the process now of quoting about another 26 doors for the city, and we're obviously throwing in Surefire for it because of our price deductions that we're able to do with taking out the labor for pulling wire.
I love that. Thank you. Great example. And you know, the thing that's so interesting about this is that it not only takes away the wiring, but it also takes away the unknown. What you're going to hit if you have to go through 300 feet of building. What are you going to run into? What are you going to mess up? You know, it gets expensive. You don't know how much time it's going to take. That all goes away when you start using this, because that risk of your bid being off. So I really appreciate that that explanation.
I have a question.
Yeah.
This is Elliot. I only know what I've heard so far. I have not used the equipment before, but I assume there's a receiver at the far end. Is that correct?
Yes. Let me show you.
And does that receiver integrate? I've been using Honeywell equipment for access control. So then would this integrate with the Honeywell controller so that
Yep. So
I don't need to, I guess, you know, you say it replaces wire, and that's great, but I guess I'm a little unclear on the concept. Do I install my regular control units, like in this case, Honeywell, and have a receiver near there, excuse me, and then that essentially takes the place of the wiring from the controller to the reader and the door strike?
Mm-hmm.
Yep, that's exactly right. And let me show you, these are 2 sides. This is the remote side. And basically what will happen is that you have a few inches of wire from the remote side to your door strike, to your card reader, you know, and then this side, this is where it goes wireless, goes down to the controller, and most.
Can I interrupt for a second? I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I don't have any video on here anymore. After that video we were watching, I just have a blank screen. Obviously, I can hear you.
Yeah. So you can see our video. You have to turn on, I believe at the bottom of your screen, there's a little three dots that say more. And then you can see the participants and show the video of all the participants. And that's where you can see our video.
Can you see us there, Elliot?
Sorry.
The view is right now still on that video that you just showed. So you have to switch it back to.
Yeah, that's just slideshow. I can tell us to stop sharing for just a second here.
Okay, that's no problem.
I'll stop the screen sharing, and then you'll be able to hopefully see us better.
That did it.
Okay. Can you see the video of our lovely faces? Really sorry that.
Sadly, yes, I can.
Yeah, God made me ugly. I can't help it.
And God made me hairless, so I'm ugly and hairless.
brother.
So.
All right. So
I
basically,
guess
what this does.
Go
Sorry,
ahead.
Elliot. What?
No, go ahead. I just wanted to stay on the subject, just so, excuse me, so I understand we've got a transmitter and a receiver, and at the receiver end, that's connected to my control unit. Is that correct?
Yes. And on the other side is going to be this unit that's the controller interface. And then you're going to wire from here to your controller a few inches so that those controllers aren't going to know that it's not hardwired. They're agnostic to system, really. Okay. And is that Scott? Who's that? I can't read their name.
Who?
This person.
Scott, Seth.
Seth, I saw you kind of nodding your head. Have you installed quite a few of these before?
No, I actually just got turned on to SureFi maybe about 6 months ago. So I'm with Graybar, and I came from integration before here. And one of my customers has been using SureFi on some gate locations. And then one of my access control manufacturers, who used to be a master locksmith, was pointing me towards SureFi for an application, but the customer had video, so SureFi didn't make sense, right? Because it was a video door station. Sure. But I'm just understanding the concept of this, trying to, put it in my brain so that when I'm talking about SureFi, I talked to another integrator this morning, and he had never heard of SureFi, and he taught me a lot about access control. So I was telling him, I was like, man, it's 50 miles line of sight, and so I sent him all the information this morning and got him started looking at it. But yeah, I'm just trying to understand how this fits in a building and just the application of it.
So yeah, this basically replaces that wire. And thank you for sharing, Seth. And it also gives you some flexibility. Like, for example, we were just meeting with a guy a little while ago who had 2 doors, but he couldn't reach both with a cell system. And so he connected the one over with the SureFi. So he had 2 doors going into a single cell system. And I actually see Patrick on here, Patrick Spong, and he's done a lot of things with this and putting these commands into the internet, actually using using web-enabled devices. And Patrick knows a lot about these. But so basically, this is the concept: is you have this bridge right here that makes wired wireless. Any questions on that? Are we good?
Well, is it one-to-one on that, or would you have one receiver? Okay, so it's all one-to-one.
It's one-to-one on that. Now we've got some things in the works moving forward to do that, but this currently is one-to-one. You just wire this in like you would if it were not hardwired, or excuse me, if it were hardwired. You go right into the door and you can put your Wiegand right into it. You put your relays out of it, and it believes it's a hardwired door.
So which model is that? And I asked because I missed the very beginning. I was having some audio difficulties, so I had to restart. So what model is
just
that?
Fine. The one that access control people use a lot is the DS004 Wiegand wireless bridge.
Yep,
and that goes into this kit, which is the 0500 compact door kit. So they're both, and just so you guys know, the compact door kit is only about $100 more than the bridge itself. We don't make anything on that. We just want you guys to have the ability to do this easily. So NEMA 4 box, Meanwhile power supply and that kind of thing. So I'll go slide this back.
What kind of power does the receiver need?
It's a 12 volt. We recommend 1 amp power supply for that.
This is Mike with PAC Integrations. We just finished a facility in our area that's actually got boat docks, tennis courts, and parking for RVs. And we've got signal on every one of ours from there, some of them a quarter mile away. So we haven't finalized testing all the card readers yet, but we have them up and running. And it was literally just get me 120 volt power right there at the gate. And then we kind of custom ours. I'll probably send you some pictures when we're done, but we customize the receiver end with ours. So
very cool.
Should work out. Thank you for sharing, Mike. Appreciate that.
And Mike's got, he's shot us some diagrams of that and stuff. So Mike, that's a great install. Thank you.
Yep.
So other questions about this particular aspect or product before we go on to some of the others?
I do have a question.
Please.
I see it's 12 volt DC. Do you have a 24 volt DC capability? Is that a different product or?
Well, let's go right into that.
Yeah.
That's great.
That's a great question. So our bridges run off of the 12 volt. But in this application, if you do have some accessories like a 12 volt or a 24 volt crash bars or something like that, let me go ahead and share my screen again.
And I'll give you an example. Today, the Surefire unit can actually break a leg on a 24 volt mag lock, for example. I had that today. You basically run it through it as an open contact.
This is some bullshit.
Normally closed contact on there. And when it receives the signal, it releases that. So there's a lot of ways to incorporate 24 volts, but the units themselves need 12. But because this is an issue where you've got, motorized crash bars, you've got all sorts of things, and some things out there that some accessories need 24 volts. We developed this with some of the installers in the area to make it so that the Surefire has both 12 and 24 volts to be able to take care of all that. We call that the commercial door kit. Compact does 12 only, commercial does 12 and 24.
Okay.
So this will allow us to hook up any 24 volt accessories that way. I do have another video. This is one that was kind of more in development. So as you see the pictures, this one was in a metal box, and but we have done a few modifications since we made this video. The general purposes are the same, but I'll show this video and it'll explain a little bit about our commercial door kit.
So today we've been looking for a solution for a 24 volt system. Surefire in the past has done an excellent job for solving our 12 volt electronic devices, but we ran into a challenge with it in that many of the electronics out there also run 24 volts. And so we've been working with Surefire to develop a product that will solve this solution, and today I think we nailed it. In that we have a 24 volt power source in the cabinet, and it powers both the Surefire device, the readers, and also the 24 volt on the electronic locking side. So it's been amazing. So big fan for sure.
The Surefire commercial door kit allows you to use all 12 volt and 24 volt DC accessories necessary to add credentials and hardware to any commercial access point. It also has its own 12 volt and 24 volt backup battery systems, allowing you flexibility to where you connect to your AC power.
In this application, it was difficult to get wiring, in fact impossible. We're slab on grade, and the doors they wanted to do was on an addition, so there was no contiguous attic space. So wireless was really our only option, and it worked out really well for the customer. But I've struggled in the past of trying to find a 24 volt solution, knowing that the readers and the Surefire device was all 12 volt. And so with this application, we were able to make both the 12 volt and the 24 volt come together seamlessly.
The Surefire commercial door kit, solving your power problem.
Okay. Thank you for your patience on that. And that was Brian, one of our installers in the area. This commercial door kit now looks like this. It's in a NEMA 4 box. We've changed up some specs on it. It has the ability to charge both 12 and 24 volts. Now, can you see us again? Can you see us okay?
Yes, can.
Yeah, they can see us. We
Okay.
just can't see ourselves.
All right, just making sure that we're good to go. Well, we're not good to go because you can see us, but we get it. All right, so that is the commercial door kit. Now, this has been a really helpful one. We actually in our building we have 24 volt motorized crash bars, and so having that on there, it's a 5 amp power supply. It takes care of those crash bars. They're just the kind of the standard motorized crash bars, but they do pull a lot of power, and so having that much power spec'd out for it, the ability to charge, the ability to tie into the power right at the door, saves a ton of effort and work. So
yeah. We do have a proprietary Surefire board in there that helps use the two 12-volt batteries wired in series to get the 24 volts. And so it changes that to UPS and it helps with the charging as well. And so that is a proprietary board that we designed and put in that 24-volt commercial door kit.
Yeah, you know, one of the nice things about the way we do things, we build everything in-house. And so, you know, here in Utah, we have our own SMT line and everything. And so it was, I'm just take hats off to the guys, you know, in development. I just called them and said, hey, I need a 24 volt charger because I couldn't find one. I couldn't find one out, you know, basically I just needed 24 volts in and charge controlling for the batteries, and they
would allow it to switch over if the power dropped.
Yeah, if the power dropped, sense that, switch it back, charge it. And these guys, within about 10 days, our Surefire guys, they went through, put it together, had it, you know, spec'd all the parts, got them in, had it through the line, and I was really impressed with them. So
yeah, they did a great job.
And that's one of the nice things about having all that in-house. You can pivot really nicely. So just a side note. So I get off on stuff.
Yeah, hats off to our engineering team, and
yeah, they did a great job.
So you have a technical support team as well, so that if I have an issue, I can call and get some answers.
Absolutely, Chris. You know, in fact, that's one of the things we get to do.
Yes.
We have some people that'll answer the phone. If it's a challenging question, they run us down, and because we've done a lot of things in the field, we've turned the screws a lot, and we'll help people through those issues that they're trying to work through on an installation. So yeah, we don't get every call, but when those calls come in and they need us, we get to work directly with the installers, answer some questions, help them test things through, and which actually kind of brings us up to our next topic. Chris, did that answer your question?
Actually, that was Elliot that asked that, but that's okay.
Oh, I'm sorry, Chris. That was Elliot.
Yeah,
I'm like pointing to Chris. I'm sorry, Chris. Elliot,
no, that's okay. My name is Chris. I'm with Paramount Security Solutions in Oregon. We do a lot of your guys' weekend devices, and I got to say, it's kind of like cat's meow. It's helped us do a ton of stuff. I'm really pressed on time, and I was very, very curious about if you guys are coming out with a serial product for some of the access control that we do of addressable systems. I don't know if you can touch base on that now or not.
Absolutely. We'll take a couple minutes, and I will tell you where we're at. So we have a serial data bridge that basically moves RS-485 and 232 at 1200 bits per second, which is not very fast in the access control world. So it works on command scenarios, it works on event-driven scenarios, and it works well for that. We've used it on some really interesting things. If you're looking for something, and this is where we're moving, we are developing another radio, Surefire 2.0, that will go substantially faster. And our design for that and our desire for that is to be able to take away all of the caveats, all the asterisks. Instead of saying, yes, this works, except this, this, and this, we want to be able to say, yes, it works with polling. You know, and so that one is in process. We do currently have one that does RS-485 and 232. The one that we're in process building and working on and testing will do RS-232 and 485 with polling and a lot faster. And so so the answer is yes, we do have one, and the qualified answer is it doesn't work with everything yet, but we are working on one that will.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate that.
You bet. And it's good to actually see. I've chatted with you on the phone quite a few times, Chris, I believe. So.
Yes, we have, yeah. Yep. All right, I got to run. I apologize. I can't stay around for more, but I have been catching up on what you guys are doing. So thanks for your time.
All right,
great,
thank
Chris.
you. Thanks for joining us.
It's a good question. A lot of people probably have. So it actually brings us up to our next topic, and that is when you have needs, and Elliot brought this up. Can you call in? Can you get support? Yes. As a Surefire Pro, especially, you have access to call some unattractive guy like us, or somebody who actually knows what they're talking about, so that we can help you through some of those tweaks and quirks of installing something new, especially for the first time. Chris, who just jumped off, when he first did them, he called and asked a couple questions, but they've been doing, oh man, I would guess they've probably done 30 to 50 in the last 6 months probably. And I've chatted with him from time to time about those. But what we also have is a retrofit assessment tool.
Oh, you're
and
jumping.
I want to go through this a little bit. Oh, am I messing in the wrong place?
You just got out of order on my slides. That's fine. I
Oh.
was going to talk about forklift kit next, but that's fine.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't ask. I didn't tell him. All right. So this kind of comes from Elliot's question. How do we get support? How do we know what's going on? We've actually developed a tool, and this is the one that I keep in my toolbox. It's a retrofit assessment tool, and this basically allows you to take these probes, stick them into any access control system. Doesn't have to be SureFi. It can be anything that has Wiegand data, that has relays going across it, and you can read the Wiegand data. So number one, you can read what's coming across. It'll also tell you, obviously, bit rate. It'll tell you, what am I missing? What am I forgetting there? Facility code, that kind of thing, and to tell you what's happening. You can also test the line voltages to see if you've got compromised line somewhere. Now,
you can even test the relays on your system, make sure they're getting
test
triggered.
Those relays, triggering, and that kind of thing. Now, some of that's available in the SureFi unit itself. So if you have a SureFi unit, some of that's available if you're already plugged into this system. But here's how they work together. And this, I think, I've had this question a couple of times. For example, today I had a gentleman who called and he said, "Hey, I've got an AWID card reader. It's coming into the SureFi remote. It's working great. I'm sending it over to the controller side. I'm reading it on my app. It's getting there, but my panel is not reading it. So we know it's getting from here to here to here, but we don't know about from the SureFi unit to the panel. There's something wrong there." We tested voltages, and had he had one of these tools, he could have taken the Wiegand probes, gone right into the end of the SureFi and said, "Okay, what's coming out of the SureFi? All right, there's my bit rate, there's my facility code, there's my pin. All right, go to the end of the wires, test it there." So basically you're checking the wire continuity, seeing if that Wiegand protocol is getting to the end of the wire. Because just because if you guys know this, installers that have been doing it a long time, just because it looks like it's good doesn't mean it's good. And so you can check that and say, "Hey, has that wire been compromised?" Then you can check the other side. So you can look at the inputs and outputs of every aspect of the access control system, and not exclusive to SureFi, but including SureFi with the retrofit assessment tool. And you go through different screens. There we go. I'm going backwards here.
I've got a little video.
You got a little video on it?
I've got a little video on how to use it.
And this screen, for example, is giving you the line voltages on there to show you if those lines are good or no, those lines are not. And Brad, I threw him off, so I didn't give him the right order there. But this RAT tool has been really helpful because it takes away those questions.
This is a video where we had an installer. John was able to go visit them, and he had a system that was installed. He was putting SureFi in, and he wasn't sure exactly about the system. So he used the RAT tool to see what was going on and do some troubleshooting. So
I joined Greg with Entry Systems at an installation in Colville, where the trenching through obstructions such as trees and a maze of wiring and utilities would be so cost prohibitive. Without SureFi, they just wouldn't do it. Greg explains the job.
I'm Greg Lossick with Entry Systems, and we are installing a LiftMaster Cap 2B access control system with a SureFi Wiegand bridge, and then a LiftMaster Wiegand keypad to open a barrier gate arm for a RV park. So we tested the Wiegand system. We increased the spanning a little bit on it to get a little more range out of it, make sure that we're going to have good salt signal.
Here you can see we use the new SureFi retrofit assessment tool that we call the RAT to read what's happening with the existing access control system, push Wiegand data, and read credentials.
We would have to trench and pull wires the whole way. We got thousands of dollars, and once or a couple months worth of time. Yeah, they wouldn't have done it. They just wouldn't do it. They would hire somebody to go out there and manually add codes and change codes to the keypad every time. Because it's just not worth it.
Okay, so that one shows you one situation where we were actually using the RAT tool in the field to assess what was coming across, are the wires from the pedestal going over to the reader right? I mean, so all those things, we were going into a system that was previously put in there for a different purpose. And so when you're repurposing those wires, when you're trying to read the cars, that kind of thing, the rat tool really helps. And we were able to get good line voltage off of it, as well as good Wiegand reads, so we could use it, but it's not always the case. As you guys know, sometimes you get out there and things have been really compromised. But the one thing he did mention in there that I don't know if that we've mentioned is that with the SureFi bridges, you can also tweak radio settings to get further or not. And those radio settings interact differently with their environment. This case, he was getting, I think, 3 signals on his test kit. He wanted a little bit more. We got in and tweaked some radio settings that we can individually show you how to do. And he was able to jump that up to 5, basically full bars. And he was probably, I'm trying to remember, but it was a good 500 or 600 yards away through a lot of obstruction, a lot of trees and whatever. So it was great that we were able to tweak up his radio and get him really strong signal. Any questions on the rat tool? It's something that we kind of came up with when some people were asking, well, how do you know about this? How do you know about that? How do you know when you're going in blind what you're dealing with? So we developed this little rat tool, and it's something that I'm glad I've had in my toolbox when I've been out on installations. I can check and see, okay, is that card reader really giving me the right reads? And it's, you know, I can know for sure in about 10 seconds instead of just chucking it and saying, well, let me get a new card reader. You know, they're a little expensive sometimes.
Yeah, we have a lot of these features built into our SureFi app. And so with our Wiegand bridge, you can see a lot of the same things. You can read Wiegand data, you can push Wiegand data. And we had people that were really close. They maybe didn't need to use SureFi, and they were saying, hey, we want some of this app functionality with the SureFi devices with our wired systems. And so we thought, well, if we have this rat tool, you can use the probes, you can get in and you can get some of that app functionality without using the bridges. So
well, the one thing I really like about it too is that you can test each little piece. You can test those wires. You can test your inputs, your outputs. You can see exactly what's wrong instead of just guessing. And you guys know how this is. You throw parts at something until it works. It can kind of get expensive. It can be time consuming. But if you take that rat tool and you probe each piece, swipe the card, you see, okay, that's working, that's working, that's working. Oh boy, that went south. So it's really been helpful. Any questions or thoughts on the rat tool? Does that ring true to anybody? And you think of some of the places you've been that you really were kind of at a loss of what's going on?
Nope.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Hey, Brad, I'm sorry. It's
Please.
Greg out in Seattle. We're gonna have to jump off. I got some stuff brewing here, but I just real quick before we did that, who are we sourcing this through? Your product, and where can I get pricing and documentation on it?
It's a great question. Go ahead.
Great. Yeah, we have distributors all all around the country, and so if you want to reach out to us, we can let you know who is a distributor in your local area.
And one of the other things about it is these kits, for example, the distributors don't really carry those, and we can set you up to directly get those from us at surefi.com. So Brad and I, when we set up a training with you, we'll get you set up so that these kits and things that are not at distribution, you can also get surefi.com as a SureFi Pro, and there will be a lot of things that you can get on there and look around and see the direction you want to go on that.
Excellent, because I do see a possibility of this product or several of your products being useful and us be able to use them. So I'll look out for email on that links for that stuff from you, and I really appreciate your time and look forward to working with you guys.
Sounds great.
Thank you for joining us.
Appreciate it, gentlemen.
All right,
Hey,
take
Brad.
care.
I've got somebody else chiming in.
Brad, I wanted to ask, as a distributor, will we at some point have access to the enclosures, or is it just the bridges and the radios we have access to?
You actually have the ability to order them, and there are a couple of distributors that have ordered some of these door kits in But they're fairly new products, and so most of them haven't got a large stock of them. But yes, as you guys can order in, if you know, like we've probably the last 2 days, and I know one's coming in tomorrow, we probably had 100 compact door kits ordered. And so most people are ordering those directly from us, but there's nothing to keep you guys from having some of those on hand, and we'd love you to do that, and we want to support you the best we can.
Yeah, I just wanted to make sure it was a product I could buy, and then I wouldn't.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay.
Yes,
Good
sir.
deal. Thank you, guys.
Other questions on that? Okay. Why don't we move on to our Surefire forklift kit / golf cart, whatever the idea is. We've used
Any kind of equipment.
Mobile equipment kit.
So where this came from is I'm gonna show you a little video on the next slide. But we had an installer calling us up saying, I have a customer who wants to put access control on a forklift, basically turning a forklift into a door. And because you guys don't need wire, would that be possible? And we thought, why not?
So it was kind of an interesting call.
Yeah, it was an interesting call. I'll show you the video and then we can chat about it after.
The forklift operator is the lifeblood of many warehouses and production facilities' ability to get their product to the customer in a timely manner. The problem is these efficient and useful machines can also be very dangerous. By controlling access to who can drive them and accountability for mishaps, warehouse administrators can increase safety and profitability for the company as well as employees. So how do you do this in an efficient, cost-effective way? The solution is Surefire. Using the same badge or access fob they use to get into the building, your qualified forklift drivers can now start up and shut down their forklifts, as well as be responsible for the way they drive. This allows management to limit access of reach trucks or counterbalance forklifts, for example, to only those who are checked out and certified for their unique use. How is this done? By using Surefire with their already existing access control system, forklifts can be set up to require credential verification to even start it, and can be monitored anytime they are in use at the facility. How did this application come about? Well, unfortunately, there was an incident in a warehouse near Surefire's corporate facilities, where a temporary worker decided to get on a forklift, turn it on easily with the flip of a switch, and accidentally backed into a wall, severing her leg. This tragic event caused the managers of this facility to seek out a way to control access to the various types of material handling vehicles, as well as a way to track any impact incidents. This is done by placing Surefire units in every forklift and material handling vehicle in the entire facility. It controls the ignition of the vehicle and is connected to an impact sensor which, when triggered, sends an alert via the relay on the Surefire unit as an event back to the management team. They can easily identify a time-stamped impact or can set an alarm to alert the necessary people to react to an incident. By connecting Surefire to their existing access control system and by allowing plant and facility managers to take control of their material handling operators in an easy and cost-effective way, Surefire is helping increase safety and profits in these warehouses.
Okay, we kind of went over the points of that, but this was a very, it was kind of a sobering installation when we went on this, because this, this girl had actually cut off the bottom part of her leg, and this plant was so worried about all of the liabilities, and they had 24 forklifts, and so when we were able to get this figured out, they, number one, were very relieved, and number two, they could make it so that even if the president of the company wanted to go play on the forklift, he couldn't. We also had the impact sensor to track what was going on and that kind of thing. But the thing is this is not limited to forklifts. You could be in a gravel pit and put it on loaders. You can use it in golf carts, because the Surefire signal is strong enough. You can send it all the way out across 18 holes or whatever. There's just an unlimited number of things you can do with it. When it comes to, maybe the Cushman carts at on a university campus or something, it's really limitless. So I don't know if you wanted to add to that, but what are your thoughts here? Do you see this being used in other ways that maybe I haven't thought of? Because I'm sure there'd be other ways to have it used, or what are you thinking?
I don't know.
Does that, I'm assuming that some of you do access control in areas, warehouses, fulfillment centers, trucking areas that have material handling. this is something that you can use to expand your customer base. You know, in this case, he had 6 doors. Then all of a sudden that job turned into 30 doors because he had 24 forklifts. So it's something to be thinking about, something to say, hey, are we expanding this into something that, you know, maybe we're missing out on some opportunities. That ability to stick a forklift or a golf cart already on their current access control system not only pays dividends in price, but you also have the ability to offer them a lot of features with it. So.
Yeah, my dad works in a warehouse, and I was talking to him about the forklift kit, and he said, you know, that would be invaluable information to know if there was a crash or an impact, you know, who was logged on to that forklift at that time.
And you know exactly when it happened because it comes into your access control
and
system.
you know who was logged into that last running it. I mean, even though they're qualified, you know, mistakes happen, and so they can. Hopefully that incident was reported, but if it wasn't, then they can go back in the system and find out when it happened and who was logged in.
And even systems that already have, you know, some type of tracking of packages and things, they don't have the same type of security available. So yeah, this was a great application at this warehouse, as well as it's been installed in warehouses in El Paso, down in Mexico City, a few other places. So if you're thinking,
yeah, we even installed it at the smart home factory in Provo. So
I forgot we had this little video, didn't we? We're going to share a video with you.
Here's a video of the smarter home forklift install.
And be thinking, okay, is this something that can be applied to somebody I'm already, you know, giving service to or whatever. So I'd love to hear your thoughts.
In this video, we install a Surefire forklift kit in a forklift in the Smarter Home warehouse in Provo, Utah. This allows us to connect the forklift to the existing access control system. This limits the use of the forklift to only authorized operators. We can also use the access control system to log forklift usage and any impacts that might occur. After deciding the best placement of the forklift kit, we marked the mounting holes of the polybox so that we could get it mounted to the frame of the forklift. Because of the gauge of the sheet metal, we decided to drill pilot holes. We also marked and drilled a hole big enough for our power and Wiegand wires to get into the forklift polybox. We use self-tapping screws to mount the polybox to the forklift in the pre-drilled pilot holes. The most difficult part of this install was finding where the power for the battery landed on the forklift. Once we found that in this panel, we simply ran wires from this panel to our transformer in the forklift kit. On this forklift, there was a nice little cup holder that we were able to remove and mount the back plate of the Wiegand card reader to the dash. We ran the communication cables from the back plate through the dash and into the polybox where the access control Surefire remote interface is. We connected the Wiegand card reader and keypad to the communication cable that we ran. Then we connected the wires to the Surefire remote interface terminal block. We found the wire for the ignition switch, ran it to the forklift kit, and using the relays, we are able to control the ignition switch with our existing access control system. Use the Surefire forklift kit to add access control and impact logging to a forklift. All right, we already talked about the rat tool because John jumped us out of order just a little bit.
Apologies. I'm gonna get this on there.
Oh, I forgot to start the video again. We all make mistakes. Anyway,
as I do, and apparently when we go in order. So,
can you guys? So what's the encryption on the wireless between the devices?
Great question. There's actually 4 levels of encryption. You have 72 channel hopping, which means if anybody's trying to get on that channel, it'll jump somewhere else. And they also have different hopping tables and encryption tables on them. You have a 128 AES encryption built in. You also have a multipath, so that if there's some type of physical or electromagnetic obstruction, it goes other directions as well. And we also have a rolling code on that, similar to a garage door, that every time those two units communicate, whether that's every minute or every 10 seconds, they are resetting the code. So it's just really, really difficult to even begin to try to do that. In fact, Facebook was approached us about using us in their Singapore office, and they hired a guy out of Microsoft to try to break our encryption, and we couldn't do it. Now, I'm not ever going to tell you that something's unbreakable, because that's just not true. But it's very secure, secure enough. We have them in international airports. We have them in police and fire stations, and some different military installations. Does that answer the question, Jeff?
Yeah, it does. What about, I'm assuming the 485, we've got to wait for that device before doing any sort of OSDP protocol for wireless?
Yeah, we would need the Surefire 2.0 radio for that protocol, we think. So that's in development, and we haven't been privy to a lot of that information yet, but it's our understanding that they're working on the OSDP. And
we're also working with some partners, some people who are manufacturers of different OSDP devices and systems that use a lot of different features, say that way, that we're working on to be able to make that OSDP work. But that is the next step, Surefire 2.0 radio time.
Okay, awesome. What about UL 294? Is there any certification around the 294 for the wireless bridge?
So we do have a UL certification. I don't remember exactly what number it is. We have a certification person who knows exactly what all those are. But we are certified with UL, as well as, I can't remember the Canadian version of it, but anyway, the Canadian version of it. Okay. And then also for our manufacturing processes, we just became certified for that.
But not a UL 294 under the access control certification.
I don't know if it's a 294 or not. I know that we are certified for access control. So I'd have to just tell you, I think it is the 295, but I'll have to check with our certification specialist to find out exactly. I know that when we have our certification for access control, excuse me, that if it's in a hostile environment of some kind, that we need to be in an enclosure like a NEMA 4 box, because we're not waterproof or that kind of thing. But Jeff, if it's okay with you, I believe since you registered, I've got some contact information for you. I will reach out to our certification people, and I'll get back with you with more details. Is that all right?
Great, thank you. Yep.
You bet. Thank you.
Guys, today we really wanted to go over some of the kits that we have. And as you've probably noticed, a lot of these kits came from installers calling us and saying, hey, can I do this? And us saying, well, yeah, probably. Let's come up with something. And so we've been able to put our heads together with some wonderful people and come up with these kits using our existing bridges. And so we really enjoy working with you guys out in the field, coming up with solutions. And so if you have ideas and say, hey, it'd be really nice if you guys could do this. We also have a solar kit, and it came out, someone called and said, hey, do you guys work with solar, and can you give us some recommendations? And we thought, well, why don't we come up with a kit for that?
Because we've been asked that question so many times, because it's hard to spec things out. It's hard to know exactly what's going to work best with things. And so if somebody has a ready-made solar product, makes it easier.
Yeah. So if you have ideas, if there's something that you want to see, reach out to us, and we'll see what we can recommend, and maybe be able to put together another kit or something like that, and to make your life easier. So you can just, order one thing rather than having to go out and hunt down the whole bill of materials.
Yeah. That's what we're about. We want to listen to the installer and find out what it is that they want, how we can help them with their life be easier. You know, when we didn't show this video, but we went out and did a installation with a bunch of compact doors at a concrete tilt-up type of warehouse, and the guy was able to do these doors in about 10 minutes each location, and he kept telling me over and over, "You thought of everything. This is everything I need. You thought of everything," and that's what we want. Now, the reality is, I'm sure we haven't thought of everything yet, but that is what we're going for.
All right, Patrick, it looks like you raised your hand, it says on Zoom.
Hey, Patrick.
Hello, it's
Hey,
good to see you again.
I'm sorry, I had a meeting that went long and I just came in I came in a few minutes into the presentation. Have you addressed the one-to-many product that we talked about, John?
We have not, actually. Let me give that, if it's okay, can I give you just a little bit of airtime on that so that you understand kind of where we are on it? Is that fair?
Sure.
So the one-to-many, and what Patrick's alluding to is that, you know, when you have a one-to-one product, you have all of these doors and they come back and you have a wall of SureFi with 60 units on it, and they're all wired into a door expansion unit of some kind. And what he's talking about is, you know, Patrick knows us, and we've talked about this before, is that we are working on a system that will allow you to do multiple doors that come back to a single place, a single unit, and that then goes into the cloud at that point. We've had that working in our own campus on our own buildings spread out of, you know, over about a mile, 5 buildings and about 120-ish access points for about 2 or 3 years now. We are still tweaking it, but to answer your question, Patrick, we are working with it specifically in conjunction with some manufacturers of
access control
products and systems, so that we can, at least initially, until we know for sure how it all is going to initially work, we know that, okay, this will work with this particular manufactured product. We know it'll work with this particular manufactured product, because once we get all that done, I think eventually it's going to just be agnostic like everything else, but it takes a little while to get through all of that. And so that's where we are with the one-to-N. It works great. It works beautifully. We actually have it in this building, but it's not yet commercially available because we're still working with some of the other manufacturers to line up and make sure that all of the communications and everything are kosher. Does that make sense?
Yeah, so it sounds like to me that you're skipping the, I've got one, oh, it's put away. You're skipping the radio to receiver and just having a whole bunch of maybe 10 radios in the field at the door, and then having a kit that has your receiver for all those with individual outputs, and you're skipping that and going straight to onto the manufacturer's RS-232 or 482.
The challenge is real estate. I mean, the IO for 125 doors is just tough.
Right, and so okay, so that's why you're talking about different manufacturers and talking to them. And I understand that in order to make that happen, you have to understand their serial communication or their cloud communication, whichever that be. That leads me to the question: can we throw out the manufacturers that we're working with and have you say, yeah, we've talked, or we're looking at that, or are you guys still keeping that under your hat? I don't,
because
I'd like to know which of the roads I'm going down, and if I need to change it, I want to know.
Because of NDAs we signed, we probably better not just throw them out there. But Patrick, you have my phone number. Give me a call and I can help point you in a direction. How's that? All right, very cool.
Thank you. Hey guys, we've been over an hour. We really appreciate joining us. Hopefully these kits, ideas are something that can help you, and for those of you that are distributors, help your installers. This is our personal contact information, our cell phones. If your customers need anything, please reach out. Our customer support, you get to talk to a real person. And sometimes all of our phones are busy. Leave us a voicemail. We'll try and get back to you. But you get a real person, you get someone that has been out in the field, has installed these, has got their hands dirty wiring and installing, and we're here to help you and support you.
Any questions before we sign out that we can answer for you?
Yeah, it's Mike with Pack Integrations. We're doing, we just did a job with using the relays only to do remote sirens, and noticed that there's about a 4 to 5 second delay on when it fires off of the control to the satellites. Is there a way to adjust that delay?
Yes, there is actually. And Mike, why don't we get on the phone, and there's a way to make that go faster. And I'd be happy to walk you through with that. The other thing is we may probably want to be on site when we do that. So make sure to take down Brad's number or my number, and we'd be happy to step you through that process. Thank you for it's a great question.
Yeah, that sounds good. When we're able to get back there, now that I know we can do it, I'm sure we'll just call and figure it out.
Sounds great,
Right,
Mike.
thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
All right. Thank you so much, everyone. We appreciate it. And thank you for joining us for What's New with Surefy. We'll do it again next month.
All right. Thanks very much.
Right.
Okay.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Bye.
Thank you.
Thanks, John. Appreciate it.
Hey.